Fletch.
How you doing, man?
It's good. How are you?
I'm good. I had a good week.
Yeah.
I had a really good week.
You look good.
I feel
You look ripped.
easy, Tiger. Well, it's interesting you say that.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about nutrition today.
Today is nutrition day.
I'm obviously on my ripping
Tell me
diet.
about that shirt real quick.
What about it? Oh, my brother gave me this. I wore it specifically because it's a brewery. I thought if we're going to talk about nutrition, we should talk about alcohol.
Talk about alcohol.
Somewhere in there, and what our relationship with alcohol is.
Love it. I want to hear what you're listening to. I'm just throwing you a curveball.
Podcast or just music?
Both. Yeah, go.
You know, I got a little of each.
Yeah.
I have been listening to the Yacht Music channel.
The Yacht
You know
music
Yacht
channel. Music?
Yeah,
I love Yacht music.
Like on Spotify or whatever, the Christopher Cross. Yeah. You name it, that genre of music.
So good.
I love that music.
Yeah, chill.
It is really, it is. And it's
background?
very reminiscent, man. Yeah. It just reminds me of the day.
The day.
You know? Which I enjoyed
back when we were someone.
When we used to be somebody. Well, you're still somebody. Because I drop your name and people stop and look. You know Mark Hasebrook?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I get that a lot.
Yeah, and it's like, why? Yeah. It's like, why do you know him?
Right, exactly.
I was thinking of you because you remember Grand Funk Railroad?
Of course I do, man.
Some Kind of Wonderful was the song that came on.
Totally.
I was like, man, the bass line on this song is powerful. You don't hear stuff like that anymore.
There is so we're talking about, I was going to get into some of these like health and fitness podcasts. Yeah. I've been listening to a lot of stuff about mitochondria. Yeah. So we're going to talk in more detail about that at some point. But I listened to Rick Beato. Do you know who Rick Beato is?
No.
He's a music producer that has a YouTube channel that he breaks out. He goes, what makes this song great?
Oh, really?
And he will break out the different musicians and the music. He gets really in depth. He's very knowledgeable, and he's also a musician, so he can play parts. But he was playing a Christopher Cross song, and the theme was one of the greatest guitar players that you don't know, and he played a Christopher Cross song, and the lead guitar part was so subdued. The way that the song was mixed, you couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, there it is. And he's got, oh, there it is. And so then he's able to break the tracks out and separate the lead guitar. And then you can hear it like, oh, my God, Christopher Cross was a great guitarist.
Didn't know that.
I didn't either.
Did not. Let's put that in the show notes.
Yeah, you should check that out.
What's the guy's name?
Rick Beato.
Rick Beato.
Yeah, he has a great YouTube channel.
You know, it's funny you say that because there's sometimes I'll hear a song like, you remember Canned Heat?
Love Canned Heat,
up to the country.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't hear songs rock and roll that have flute.
Yeah, no, you don't.
I mean, you try. I wonder if anybody listening to this would say, "Well, there's other songs like Undone by."
Who was Ian Anderson used to play the flute?
Yeah.
Jethro Tull.
Jethro Tull. Yeah,
that's from our generation.
Bob
too.
Daisley would call in and say Jethro Tull.
Jethro Tull.
And then he'd always drop the Tower of Power reference.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Anyway, we're here to nutrition.
Well, let's talk about nutrition.
I was just thinking about
that. From the I'm assuming you've never had any nutrition classes.
No.
Your MBA didn't have nutrition classes.
It did not.
Nor did anything that I've ever done. Yeah. So we are not dietitians, nutritionists. We are talking purely from the standpoint of this is what I've done, and these were abject failures, and this worked, and so let's make sure we understand
people are in this boat because they try and they figure, well, I'll read this article or that article, and then it's sort of just so much trial and error.
Yeah.
And I think the bottom line is there isn't one prescription that works.
I think that is a true statement.
I think.
I would agree with that. Yeah. I would totally agree with that. Okay. Your comment about, trial and error and listening to what the current state of affairs is, the food pyramid, we are all captives of the food pyramid, which apparently is a lot of BS. Back in the day, in the 80s, I had two roommates, my buddy Mick and my buddy Scott. We were living together in Columbus, Ohio. We were powerlifting. We were trying to get big. We were those young guys that wanted to be big, right? Yeah. And in that time period, fat was the enemy. You didn't want to eat fat. We ate protein, we ate carbohydrates, no fat. And Entenmann's, do you remember Entenmann's, pastry company?
Totally, yeah. Uh-huh.
This may be how you got up to 245 pounds, man. But Entenmann's came out with fat-free pastries, like these breakfast pastries, strudels, coffee cakes and stuff. So we would go to Kroger, which is the grocery store in Columbus, Ohio, every Saturday, and we'd each buy 3 or 4 Entenmann's pastries, like the big family-sized ones. And we would each eat 3 or 4 of them on a Saturday watching TV, thinking, we are really following a strict program here.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's probably 1,000 grams of sugar. Yeah. You know, maybe more.
Easily.
But we were convinced that we were doing the right thing.
Fat-free.
Fat-free.
Fat-free. Yeah.
And I think everybody falls into that.
In the trap, yeah.
And I think, yes, this weird cycle of diet, you know, everybody is kind of, I don't know if right now it's keto, but for a long time it's been keto, it's been low carb, it's been carnivore. These are kind of the buzzy terms right now.
Well, and sugar.
And sugar is obviously the enemy.
Understanding, you know, I guess I never appreciated how much sugar is in virtually everything.
Yes.
And my favorite food of all time, of course, and I've mentioned it before, Red Box Captain Crunch. So you look at the label, and it says, if I'm not mistaken, one serving is 220 calories.
And one serving is 3
And so you kind of go, well, I mean, if I'm eating 2,000 calories a day, that's 10%.
Right.
And so, but if you maybe peel it back a little bit, there's something like 40 grams of sugar in that. And the one serving is a cup. And it's not even as much as that.
Right.
Have you ever poured out a cup of cereal?
Oh, hell no, man. I pour it into a mixing bowl.
You pour a cup and you kind of go, that's it? That's all I get?
This is my serving?
Yeah. And so the average serving is more like
half a box.
Exactly.
It's totally true, man. And so we can talk about reading labels and stuff and give some insights into that. But what I really want to know is, you know, when you had that self-realization that I'm a big pile of goo, and you started the journey to this lean, trim,
svelte,
sexy 172, man. I got to tell you.
Having you say sexy, it makes me just a little uncomfortable.
Sorry, man.
Yeah.
I'll
just put your legs.
I'll stop manscaping or mansplaining or whatever. But yes, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. No. But
that's the way.
But how did you? I mean, it's obviously been that was college, and we are long past college. But what is the basic of your diet? What is it that you eat? I mean, we talked a little bit about calorie deficits and things. The bottom line, I think there is some truth to, if you want to lose weight, you need to get into a calorie deficit based on your metabolism.
Yeah,
and if you want to gain weight, you got to.
Yeah, then you have to add more, but you have to add more of the right stuff. You know.
But this is the point, right? Eating 2,000 calories of Snickers bars is different than eating 2,000 calories of lean protein and vegetables.
You know, and you mentioning the food pyramid. So you go to that because to me, I just started at the basics. Like, well, what do I don't even know how many calories to cut out. I don't know how to cut it out. I don't even know what to eat, frankly. Mm-hmm. And so it was kind of a blank slate. So let's just start from scratch. And so much experimentation.
Yeah, no doubt.
But you're right. The lightning bolt for me was sitting there saying, okay, I think it's about 2,000 calories a day that I need to be at.
Yeah, I mean,
to sustain.
Right.
To be where I am. Maybe it's 2,200. I don't know. I was just throwing.
But it's a shot in the dark. I mean, how do you know?
But I was reading an article, and it said if you truly want to lose weight, 1 pound of fat is 3,500 calories. And I'd never had really the math explained to me that way. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, that sounds like a lot. And so if you want to lose a pound, you have to somehow have a deficit of the 3,500
calories, yeah,
on a consistent basis. And so if you kind of do the West Side math here, for me, it was sort of, okay, over a 1 month period, what does that mean if you break it down every day? And it's about 200 calorie deficit.
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
And you think, well, is that a lot or not a lot? And I was holding a Snickers bar at the time, which was 280 calories.
Well, you were holding the wrapper, actually.
The wrapper. I wasn't eating it. Yeah.
Right.
And I thought, man.
And that's 200 calories?
Yeah, it was like 280 calories.
Give or take 200.
And mostly all sugar.
Right.
And I thought, okay, that's it. I'm starting right now.
I'm going to eliminate a Snickers bar every day from my diet.
Forget one thing like that. Mm-hmm. And then I started looking around at this stuff that has 200 calories. And I think if I remember right, it's something like 12 Pringles.
I wouldn't be surprised, man.
Which you and I eat the tube. You don't eat 12 Pringles.
Yeah. I've never stopped.
I've never stopped.
At 12 Pringles.
So how do you, 12 Pringles.
But it's not a huge amount of food. It's
not a huge amount of food.
The point you're trying, you just eliminate.
Could you do that? Yeah.
Something.
Whether you burn more, I just viewed it, for me, it's like, I've just got to probably cut back.
Yeah.
And then what do you supplement? What stuff? And I was eating the wrong carbs. Wonder Bread. So I was like, well, bread's good for you, because in the food group it says.
Yeah, bread, man.
Bread, you got to have
it's
bread.
Right up there by the top.
Let's have the right stuff. And then started to read more about, you brought up protein and just how much protein you need and how good it is for you.
Yeah.
It fills you up.
Yeah.
Gives you energy.
Yeah.
And if you eat protein in the morning.
Totally.
Yeah.
So this is what does your diet look like today? What would your diet today consist of? What's it look like? Give a little timing. What's it going to be today?
It's roughly 1,800 to 2,000 calories a day.
Okay, but now you know what that means.
But I know what it means, and of the right stuff. So lots of protein, just lots of natural.
Like what kind of proteins
stuff.
do you like?
Well, like this morning.
Well, what do you got there, man?
I've got some props.
Okay.
I had one of these, OWYN, only what you need.
Oh. I've never seen it before.
It's 32 grams.
Did you get that at Costco?
At plant. No, I got this at Hy-Vee.
Okay.
Where there's a helpful smile in every aisle.
Yes, usually right behind you.
Yeah.
But that's because they're a little suspicious of me.
It's 200 calories.
How much protein in that thing?
And 32 grams of
32 grams.
And it's plant protein, so it's pretty clean. There's no sugar. There's 3 grams of fiber.
Okay.
Try and get 30 grams a day
of fiber. Yeah.
And so and I've become a lot more conscious of just what this little thing,
the label,
means, because you get in there and kind of look at it, and some of these have 14 grams of added sugars.
This is what I look at a label, man. Yeah. The added sugar. That's the first thing my eyes gravitate to. How much added sugar, and then how much total sugar. Yeah. There would be sugar inherently present in the material or whatever that food is sometimes. And then in America, we add a bunch of sugar because we all have to have it really sweet and tasty. Yeah. You don't find that apparently overseas. I've never traveled overseas, but if you go to Europe or something, they don't pack a bunch of sugar into this stuff.
We've just been conditioned to that, and the fats and the bad oils and the stuff. Mm-hmm. I didn't know much about those oils than how much has been just processed into food with the seed oils, which I was like, well, oil's oil. It's not that big a deal, but it actually is kind of bad.
That's my understanding too. Some of those oils are really bad for you.
Yeah.
The way that you metabolize them and what they're used for in your body, they're just not great for you.
And it's not, again, what do we know is what we always keep saying, but it's sort of when you find a recipe that works for you.
Exactly.
Then I try and just stay with it.
So you're 6'2", 172 pounds, give or take on any given day.
Any given day,
and you're getting about 1,800 to 2,000 calories a day, and that's a maintenance.
That's a maintenance
calorie for you.
I'm right there.
You will stay right where you want to be.
Stay there, and and try and work out 6 days a week. And so
you have a high exercise amount. Relative to me, you exercise a lot more than me.
Mine's more, lots of zone 2 cardio.
Mm-hmm. Explain what that means.
Just, getting it in conversational. So, if you're riding a bike or if it's treadmill or you're outside running or it's something that you can converse, it's just a little bit uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And then you just sustain in that zone. So you're not doing high intensity interval training every single day.
Right.
It's just let's get it up there, and then you sustain that and do that for 30 to 45 minutes. For me, that works.
And how many times a week are you doing that?
Usually 4 times a week, and then I try and do some sort of strength training twice a week.
Okay.
Now, my strength training versus yours, which I want to hear about, is more high repetition.
Yeah.
Not heavy weight.
No, it shouldn't be at this point. Yeah, I totally
There's
agree.
a program called Les Mills Body Pump, which we'll put in the notes.
Okay.
A reference. It's great. It's great for me.
Are you able to do that at home?
Yeah. I just do it all at home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
And then there's always one day of rest.
And you play hockey.
I play hockey a couple times a week.
And that's
at night.
That's probably almost more of a high intensity thing because it's sprint, coast, sprint, coast.
Right. And then sit.
Mm-hmm. and then slide on your ass down the ice when some young guy checks you into the boards.
Yeah. And it's becoming a faster league, and I'm slower and slower, but still. Yeah. I wear my my Apple Watch during these hockey games, and it's crazy how, your heart rate, you're warming up, it's in the 70s, and it gets into the 80s, and then you're kind of consistently, up around 120, and then there will be spikes for 30 seconds, 170 to 180, and then what's really important, I'm reading more about, and maybe and we're going to have a couple of guests on that are going to help us with this heart rate recovery.
This refractory period where you come back down.
Yeah, that I didn't know anything really about that. And how important it is, how fast your heart can recover from, a stress. A really heavy workout of some kind.
That is an interesting phenomenon. Yeah. And I am slow to recover. But in part because of the way I train. I don't train very well for that kind of thing. Yeah. I need to improve. That's one of my goals from this experience is to improve on that. And I'm hoping that I can be guilted into it by hearing that you're doing it 6 times a week and I'm doing it 6 times a year. So let's get back to the protein, man.
Protein, there it is.
This is 32 grams of protein. How much protein are you trying to get on a daily basis?
170 grams. One gram of protein for every pound that I weigh. So,
isn't that interesting? Yeah.
And it's
because that number's been all over the board, man. They've been, 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight and all this other crap. I'm with you. I am 1 per 1.
Yeah.
Okay. 1 gram per pound. That is and for me at 230, that's a lot of protein, and I rarely get there. Yeah. But I realized I wasn't getting probably half of that, and I was, more atrophy. I was losing more muscle. I was getting a little, my what do you call it? Like subcutaneous fat was getting pretty bad, and so I'm trying consciously to ramp up my protein.
Now, when do you take your protein? Is it morning? Is it all day?
I used to be I'll call it intermittent faster.
Yeah.
When I was a big blob, like 3 or 4 years ago, I did intermittent fasting. I did that 16 hours without eating and an 8-hour eating window. And I gradually, compressed that to about a 5 or 6 hour eating window and trying to eat good food. Like we've just mentioned, trying to eliminate the shit out of the cupboard, the processed stuff, heavily processed stuff. And I lost about 25 pounds. It worked really well for me. I'm not doing that now.
What period of time?
I was eating after 12 o'clock, and I would be done eating by about 6 or 7.
Okay.
So in that noon to 7 range was when I would eat my calories.
Yeah.
And it was usually 2 meals and a little bit of snacking. And I think that is just a calorie deficit program, basically. I used to just eat. I would start feeding the minute I woke up, and I would be brushing the Cheeto dust off my chest when I crawled into bed. So I had like a 12-hour feeding window before. That didn't seem to work well for me.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that now, so I have not had any calories yet. I'm drinking coffee, and I'm drinking salt water. I'm sure my cardiologist would. This is Elementi. That's they have come out with canned versions. It's usually just an electrolyte packet, minerals that you add to water. Okay. Well, they've come out with these cans now. My wife has every month they send us a box because we both drink the salt water. Okay. Andrew Huberman told me to drink salt water.
He's good, isn't he?
He's an interesting cat. So I drink salt water in the morning. I'm sure my cardiologist is listening and freaking out because I'm not sure that's what cardiologists want.
Magnesium in here too.
It's got magnesium, potassium, sodium. I think it's a pretty good.
Yep.
Huberman likes it, so I like it for the time being. I know not everybody loves Huberman.
What an influencer, right?
Yes, man. So protein and salt, coffee.
Protein and salt.
When I get home, I'll probably drink a protein drink, just like you, maybe 30 to 40 grams of liquid protein. My wife and one of my sons and I are leaving town today for a couple of days, and so something we could talk about, but eating on the road is an incredible challenge.
So hard.
So what are your natural sources what do you like protein-wise, otherwise? If you're not drinking your protein.
Chicken. I love chicken.
Big chicken eater?
Yeah, big chicken
eater.
Can I
say that? Sorry, man. Yes, chicken.
Grilled chicken and salmon.
Salmon is awesome.
Love salmon.
Yeah, that's
kind
a good
of it.
one.
I mean, I like steak now and then, but I just gravitate to those two. It's easier.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things you can do.
And are you buying like hormone-free organic chicken at $12 a pound?
Try to, yeah. I mean, I didn't think. Again, I'd stand there in the eggs and the chicken aisle and just kind of go, "Come on, chicken is chicken, and eggs are eggs." And then you go down that whole rabbit hole of like, wait a sec. They're injecting these things and they're doing this and they're doing that. And I think I'd rather just have the closest thing to natural as I can get.
I would agree.
Yeah.
It is incredibly expensive.
It is crazy expensive.
Eat that way.
God, it's crazy.
It's unfortunately expensive because I think more people would do it. But I've had I was going to say misfortune, maybe good fortune, but I've been in a lot of like egg facilities as part of my professional life. And you look at hens in cages laying eggs, and it is disgusting.
Really?
It's disgusting. We'll take a field trip sometime, and I'll see if we can get you in to see it. But they put 12 hens in a cage, no bigger than just the dimensions of this chair, and they peck at each other. They eat each other. I mean, the stress that they're under, if you're a believer in like the effects of stress, which I am, those eggs cannot be good because those hens are it is horrible conditions.
They're angry hens.
They're angry hens. Can you blame them?
Eggs.
And you're eating angry. That's exactly what you're eating.
Wow.
Eggs full of cortisol. So I pay. Yeah. I was at Hy-Vee yesterday, and the meat guy, Mike, because I know all the butchers, right? He was stocking the eggs, and I reached for the pasture-raised eggs, which are $5.99 a dozen, and I reached over the 99-cent a dozen eggs, and he's like, boss, what are you doing? And I was like, I've seen these hens, and they are not happy, and I've eaten my 99-cent eggs, believe me, and I eat a lot of eggs, but I pay for eggs.
Got to. I think it makes a difference. And I mean, who knows if it's the placebo effect of eating better like that, but over time, I think you do notice a difference. There's no doubt.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think I can always rationalize it. You
eat chicken, eggs, and
I eat a lot. I eat all kinds of protein.
Yeah.
I love salmon. I don't cook salmon very well. Maybe we can do a show on cooking at some point.
Yeah.
How do you make this stuff palatable?
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm a big cast iron skillet guy, but I'm sure my iron levels in my body are off the charts because I cook everything in cast iron.
I don't know. We got a cast iron skillet, and I can't get anything to not stick to it. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. It's like
we'll do a cast iron skillet cooking show.
But yeah, I mean, I think Costco has some of the best. As far as just really good, pure.
Costco is great.
You got to search, but they really do.
They have, but I do eat a lot of red meat. Yeah. And I don't know if that will come back to haunt me or not. There's a lot of controversy about saturated fat and red meat. My cardiologist doesn't like that either. My cardiologist really doesn't like anything about my lifestyle.
Wonder why that is.
Because he's a runner. He's a 140-pound runner, and I'm a 230-pound non-runner or whatever. And I think that bothers him to some degree. But I love beef. We eat a lot of chicken. We eat some fish. I should eat more fish. I would, if I go out to a restaurant, a sit-down restaurant, I typically, try to order fish if they have something that's actually good.
Something close to that. And then
try
they
to
set
stay away
the
from
basket of rolls down in front of you, and you're like,
right.
Yeah. Can I have more butter?
No doubt. Yeah. So that's a tough one, but I do consume liquid proteins.
Yeah.
Again, I'm looking at that label for added sugar because a lot of them have a ton of sugar in them.
Yep.
Do not get those.
Like muscle milk. I used to drink a ton of muscle milk, and I started reading the label and just going, wait a minute.
Whoa, yeah, I know, man. Some of them are really misleading.
Yeah.
That's why it tastes like chocolate milk.
Yeah,
it's delicious.
It really is. Yeah.
Anything that's delicious, you need to question.
Yeah. So what do you eat each day? Do you monitor calories?
I should, because I'm not losing weight.
Yeah.
And I would like to lose weight, and I'm not tracking calories, and that's the reason I'm not losing weight.
But I mean, at our age, as you get older, the maintenance calories really seem to shift, and you've probably noticed that because you're still lifting heavy weights.
My approach to lifting hasn't changed. The weights have changed significantly, but my approach to lifting hasn't changed.
And how's that tie to your nutrition then?
That's an interesting question. If I am lifting, relatively speaking, what are heavy weights, if I make it to the gym 3 times a week, that's a pretty good week for me. My work schedule is really challenging. So if I get into the gym 3 times a week and I'm lifting, relatively speaking, heavy weights, so I'm doing 3 to 5 repetitions, that's kind of a strength protocol. If you're lifting, 8 to 12, 15 repetitions, that tends to be more for hypertrophy, just muscle development. I've always leaned toward the strength thing, but it gives me a big appetite.
So 3 to 5 reps, and that's of 80% of max, or
somewhere in that range. Yes, that's exactly right. It would be at a percentage of max that is pretty high. Yeah. So in that 75 to 85. Maybe even dabbling up in the 90s.
And 3 sets or 4 sets?
It varies, but I think 3 to 5 sets is pretty traditional. Right now I've got a different breakout, but not a ton of volume. I don't do a ton of volume like what you've described.
That's amazing. That's completely opposite of what I do.
But I should.
No, I don't know.
But
you like it.
It's what I'm familiar with, right? I always fall back to what I'm familiar with. Yeah. And I am not familiar with cardio.
So if you do that 3 times a week, you need a day off in between.
Most definitely. Yeah. And my back is my limiting factor.
In between?
Typically walk.
Yeah.
So I used to do
walking.
Old man martial arts.
What's that mean?
When I was a young guy, I did martial arts. Kickboxing. I was never a martial artist.
I didn't know that.
Martial art implies, some Zen kind of. I was never that guy. I would go to the gym. We would kickbox, spar, and that was it. We'd run. 2 miles was a big run for us, 3 miles, something like that. I do old man martial arts now with my buddy Aaron Cerrone. Mid-America Martial Arts, great guy, great facility. But old man martial arts is when you come in and the instructor holds the pads for you, and you just punch and kick the pads, and he tells you you're still a badass, but he tries to keep you away from the young guys because they would kill you.
Right. Right.
So you can spar with other old guys, and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm still doing it, man.
Yeah. I still got it.
But then if a young guy walks in, they always kind of snicker, So that's old man martial arts. Yeah. It's fun, and it's
good for you.
2 minutes on. It's kind of a hit program almost. 2 minutes on. Yeah. 1 minute rest, 2 minutes on, 1 minute rest. You might go through 6-8 rounds of that. And it's the closest thing that I've done to the high intensity workout.
Okay, so you'll do that. And the walking, I'm glad you mentioned that because I had always discounted just any kind of walking.
Well, I think walking's for fools, but I do it.
But when you think, I started to add it up, and I don't know how accurate the 10,000 steps thing is. It's an objective. It's a goal. For some people, it's like, I'm going to do 1,000 steps today. Then go for it. But I realized that if I parked far away or did some of those things, I'm burning an extra 100 calories.
Every day.
And then you're like, wait a sec. All I need to do is 200 calories a day to lose weight. And my objective...
You're doing math again.
I'm doing math, and it's all fake math.
No, you're right. This is absolutely true.
Wait a sec. I just have to walk a little bit further. And it truly does work. Now, I think in the spring and the summer, we're all more active. You're outside. You're doing stuff. Whether it's garden or mowing the lawn or playing golf or what have you, you're at least burning.
Yeah, moving. Movement is important.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I'm sorry.
No, you're walking. And I think walking, my wife moves all the time.
Mm-hmm.
She runs,
mm-hmm.
she walks, she does Pilates, she exercises, she goes to the gym. She moves constantly, which to some degree guilts me into walking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she'll ask me, do you want to take a walk? Well, back in the day, I thought walking was for losers. And in fact, when I was trying to gain weight, you know, when I was a scrawny guy trying to get big, I was trying to conserve calories.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll talk sometime about gaining weight.
Yeah.
It's the same principle in reverse, right?
That is, yeah.
If you have a maintenance level, a metabolic level of calorie burning, and you lower it even by a few hundred, calories a day, you're going to lose weight. Add some activity, park further away and walk rather than circling around for 30 minutes to get that first parking space like I see so many people doing.
Yep.
Like you, I intentionally park away and walk.
Take the stairs, right?
I didn't love walking.
But you were trying to put on weight when you were younger.
I was trying to gain weight then, but
Did that probably give you a little bit of insight into really how to sustain?
Without question.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
Appreciation for putting weight on.
Yeah, gaining weight. Yeah. If I was a pretty scrawny guy, and I was trying to gain weight, and it was always difficult. I hear people all the time saying, I'm trying to gain weight, young guys trying to gain weight.
Yeah.
To some degree, that is a maturity thing, I think, but you're a calorie burning machine, you know. But when I was lifting weights with intent and trying to gain weight, I was eating 8,000 calories a day.
Good Lord.
You know, and I ate all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I'd eat a 12.
And did you care what you ate? It was just like, I'm just
going to consume. I ate it. Well, before I understood anything about nutrition, I ate everything I could get my hands on. Like I hit for the cycle at Wendy's one time. I ate a single, a double, a triple, and the ladies made me a quadruple. And I ate all of them in one sitting at Wendy's.
That's beyond disgusting. I mean,
it was.
But what an achievement.
But trying to gain weight is to some degree more difficult than trying to lose weight. Because you eliminate 200, 300 calories a day consistently and eat good, wholesome food, you're gonna lose weight.
Yeah.
Gaining weight, I would eat a quart of ice cream every night. You know, I would eat probably 4 to 6 chicken breasts, potatoes.
I mean, you were committed. You were overachiever.
I was committed.
Yeah.
It wasn't just interest. It's like that whole chicken and the pig thing that you were mentioning.
Right. Yep.
You know, the chicken is interested in breakfast, lays an egg.
Yeah.
The pig is committed. The bacon is committed to the breakfast,
so
man.
True.
And
you're committed. You were like, I'm going to do this.
I wanted to gain weight.
And I think for a lot of people, there is one of those moments in their life. They're like, this is it. I mean, I'm not going to just read about this, and I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I'm going to do it. Sometimes it's something tips you over, you know, and there has to be a mental switch.
You're right, man.
Versus, well, that'd be kind of interesting. Someday I'm going to do that.
No, you are absolutely right.
And it's like I'm sitting there with the Snickers and I'm reading this thing and I'm just like, what am I doing? Okay, connection, fat.
Yeah,
I'm going to lose it.
That was it.
Like, okay, this is it. I mean, for you to commit to putting on the weight, I'd have to agree with you, because then you're. Am I consuming the right stuff? Am I doing it the right way? Am I at the right time of day and all of that?
Mm-hmm.
And now, at our age, boy, you know, adding an additional 500 calories here and there.
Yeah.
It's okay to do. Let's not get crazy here. Neither of us is nutty about,
no,
oh my God, I've got, you know, to sprinkle one more little gram of salt on here.
No, I don't do that anymore. It's just like,
let's live our lives, but it's sort of, how does the next 30 years look for us?
Yeah.
And
well, I think there's a lot of evidence to suggest that decreasing your calorie consumption is a component of longevity. Mm-hmm. You know, if you read the Blue Zone and you talk about some of these small populations of peoples that live long, healthy lives, you know, there are some very common factors. And one of them is they just don't overeat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they just don't overeat. And I am an overeater. I still overeat. I don't have a really healthy relationship with food, man.
Is it a struggle?
It is a struggle for me. It has always been a struggle because, unfortunately, I love fast food. I love sweets. I love all that crap that's no good for you. Mm-hmm. Everything in the cupboard, I love. Is there anything in the cupboard that's good for you? Maybe if you have some macadamias or some nuts or something. But other than that, everything that lives in the cupboard is probably not good for you.
It's that whole middle of the grocery store kind of thing. Yeah.
That's it. Describe that, man. I mean, everybody's heard this description, but it is true.
It's just stick to the outer aisles for the most part. Mm-hmm. And
you got
that's where the fruits,
produce,
and the vegetables, and
you got your meats, you got your dairy, like milk and eggs and things like that.
And then everything in the middle is all just manufactured.
It's just
processed
manufactured crap.
I mean, there's obviously good stuff in there, but
you got to really look for it.
Got to look for it.
You got to really look for it. Like, pick one thing in the middle aisles that you eat that is good for you. Like, I love olives, and olives tend to be in the middle.
Yeah.
And so I eat black olives, green olives, Kalamata olives. I love olives. So
canned green beans, for some reason, I like those. Those are in the middle.
My dog loves those too.
Well, we have a lot in common. So true.
My dog Chuck loves green beans, man.
Well, Chuck and I are on the same wavelenth when it comes to that.
Yeah, but he wishes he was as slender as you. Chuck's a pig.
Dave's Killer Bread. I think I've mentioned that before, but that's a good bread in moderation, but it doesn't have any sugars. It doesn't have anything processed. It's good high grain.
You ever tried that Ezekiel bread or some of that sprouted breads and stuff?
It's like drywall. I don't like it, but I mean,
it is
some
a different
people really
consistency.
Swear by it. You know?
Yeah. Well, if you put enough jelly on it, it's pretty good. You know. What do you eat for carbs? That's it. So we've talked about protein. Mm-hmm. Now, do you consume like specific carbs? Are you like one ingredient? I eat potatoes. I eat sweet potatoes. I eat
baked potatoes. That's kind of it.
Okay.
I'm not a big carb.
Do you like cruciferous vegetables, broccoli?
It's a big word.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I had to think about it for a while.
And even said it right. Wow, I'm so impressed.
Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, love Brussels
sprouts. Asparagus, cauliflower, those kind of things.
Absolutely, yeah. Love those.
Yes, I do too.
Throw them in the pan and sprinkle some. Do you know what MCT oil is?
Brother, I've been doing that for 35 years.
Have you really?
35
I just learned about it.
Did you?
I put it in my coffee in the morning with
you make that bulletproof
espresso.
Oh,
it's good stuff.
No wonder you're soaring when you walk in here. Have you had it today already?
I had it today. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, good for you.
Stuff. But MCT oil, I've been cooking with it.
Medium chain triglycerides.
Yeah.
So
explain it, because I don't really know that much about it other than just reading about bulletproof, and I thought maybe this is good to cook with.
Well, this started for me back in the 80s because MCT oil, there was a product called Captri, which is 8-carbon triglyceride. You know, on triglycerides, you got this glycerol molecule and these fatty acid chains or whatever. And so the length of that triglyceride molecule, 8, 10, 12 carbon, we don't want to get into chemistry necessarily, but like some triglycerides are long chain and that's a different fat altogether. But medium chain triglycerides this was a bodybuilding product. When you would bodybuilders would carb deplete before a contest or something, they would increase this MCT component to their diet, so they would still have energy to train and they would still have like useful nutrients. They metabolize differently. You know, I don't know if they don't go to your liver. Please don't quote me on this, or they do go to your liver. I don't know exactly what it is, but MCTs have been shown to have a lot of other health benefits, like neuro benefits, in addition to like just the leaning out bodybuilding. So there was a guy named John Perillo in Cincinnati, Ohio, that started packaging Captri, which was C8 chain MCTs.
I'm saying yes, like I understand everything you're saying.
Yeah, man.
Inside,
are you starting to fall asleep? But
what is he saying?
I'm a believer. I take MCTs every day.
Know that.
And you put them in your coffee.
Yeah.
That's a bulletproof coffee trick. That Dave Asprey guy.
Yeah, exactly.
He would put like a little bit of butter, like good butter, not shit butter.
Irish butter.
Good Irish butter, and a little bit of MCT. And you don't want to overdo the MCTs because they can really mess up your gut.
Really?
Like you start pouring MCTs, you're going to be in the bathroom all day.
So you should be careful.
Maybe a teaspoon at a time. But you put that in your coffee. Do you put it in a blender, like a
Yeah, you should. I don't.
You just mix it?
I just mix it as much as I can, and then like just a pinch of salt.
A little bit of like Himalayan salt or something.
Exactly.
Oh, dude, you are there.
We are on the wavelength.
This is awesome.
And it brings out the flavor, but also gives you, much like Elementi, it gives you the sodium that you need before you work out.
No kidding.
Yeah, and then
I'm totally impressed.
Again, all from reading stuff. Touch the shrubbery.
Touch the shrubbery, man. That's every time we say something like touch the shrubbery.
We're on the same wavelength.
I totally agree. And that bulletproof coffee gets you going, and it is. My understanding is it's really good for you. It tastes good, but it's also, I think, it's got some energy. I've enjoyed the benefit of it. Yes. Now I have tried the pre-workout drinks and stuff like that. Don't like them. Don't agree with me. Just too much. A lot of sugar in them, and they've got a bunch of caffeine. Oftentimes, it's just too much for me. Now, I mean, there's some people, in their 20s and 30s. They swear by pre-workout. I do not do a pre-workout. Don't you? Okay. I used to. Yeah. NO Explode. Yeah. There was a product called NO Explode, and I would do that before workouts, and I could just start shaking and sweating. It's scary stuff. But old men with heart conditions, which we both apparently have. We're going to talk next week about, right? Yeah, next week is our AFib episode. Yeah. It'll be fascinating. You don't need that stuff to throw your heart irregularly. I mean, if you're going to work out the right way. Yes. I mean, why I think a little bit of caffeine or the bulletproof coffee, maybe a little bit of protein or something. It doesn't cause that big like blood sugar spike necessarily either because the MCTs and the butter, that Irish butter, that Kerrygold or whatever it is. That's what I get. It doesn't blast your glucose up. That's good stuff. There's really a zillion different butters out there, but and you kind of go, well, butter's butter. Back to that whole conversation, but it's kind of not. And if you get the pure butter, and Kerry makes the best, I think. That's what I've got in my fridge, man. Yeah, and it's God. I mean, it used to be what, like $2.99. Then it was like became popular. $3.99, and it's $5.99, and what is it now? Like $7-8 bucks. Well, you have to buy it on sale, man. I mean, and this is an atrocity that eating well is so expensive. Yeah, exactly. It truly is an atrocity. It's like, we'll get in trouble for this, but I get on Southwest Airlines and I'm sit down and here comes this lady and she's easily 500 pounds and sits next to me, of course, and gets the seatbelt extender. Plus, Southwest now grants an extra seat to fat people. And she doesn't have to pay for it. Yeah. And so the guy working his ass off to maintain his health and, to kind of just be semi-normal. Now you're sitting like this. I'm sitting here touching her fat, and then I'm just like, what's wrong with this picture? We're rewarding this? Yeah. I mean, the guy who should be rewarded is me. I should get the whole damn row with a pillow, and I should bring me a drink, damn it. Yeah, right now. Oh, my God. But nevertheless, you're right. I mean, eating healthy is expensive. It is expensive. It's unfortunate, and I do see people in the store making food choices that I wouldn't make. Yeah. And I'm an 80-20 guy. Yeah. If I can eat right 80% of the time and I might diverge 20% of the time, I'm pretty happy. Yeah. It's not 100% of the time. Mm-hmm. I used to be a big cheat day guy. Mm-hmm. Have you ever been a cheat day guy? Yeah. Yeah. Still I would try to 6 days a week I would eat right. Yeah. And then maybe Saturday night or whatever I'd go eat pizza or whatever I wanted, or I'd have dessert, or I might even drink alcohol or something. That's a whole nother subject we could talk about, the alcohol consumption. Yeah, yeah, so many calories. You're right. And you can't go through life just like, oh, I feel horrible. For me, it's just a choice. And I know there's a lot of people that way that's like, well, I will have a cheat day. They will. And you feel the next morning you wake up just going, and you feel like shit. Oh my God, what did I do? When you blast yourself like that. I used to. It's a chain reaction. Saturday was my cheat day, and I was notorious I'd go get 3 or 4 apple fritters first thing in the morning, a couple of egg muffins out of McDonald's, and then I'd go to the gym. Yeah. And I'd still have like glaze on my face from the apple fritters. I'd walk in the gym, those guys go, cheat day, Fletch? And I'd go, what makes you say that? It's not, I was never a cocaine guy. I was an apple fritter guy, Still have crumbs on my shirt. Yeah. But But the consequence of that, the feeling that I've given up cheat days, intended cheat days. Sometimes, hey, we're having a celebration, I'll have a piece of cake, right? I mean, birthday, I'll have a piece of cake. But I used to have intentional cheat days, but I felt so horrible the next day.
Yeah, the
reward I don't snap back like. So I've given up on cheat days.
Yeah. The reward used to be, that was fun.
Right.
But the next day, at least for me, it's a shock to the system.
It's like a hangover.
Like, what are you doing?
You drink too much. I'm a 2-drink limit guy now.
Yeah.
And that is at the instruction of my cardiologist.
Really?
And like 1 to 2 days a week.
But are they this big?
It depends on what. I'm a theme guy too. I'm a theme drinker, Are we at the Mexican restaurant? I'm having give me that 96-ounce margarita,
right. Because there's fruit in those.
That's right.
So, yeah.
It's got to be good for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, life is all celebrations too, So and
it seems to be the minute I start focusing, there's a celebration.
Yeah. That's okay. To me, it's like I don't look down my nose at anybody for that.
Yeah.
It's just so. I mean, wrapping it up, it's sort of like maintaining and enjoying, and to me, it's longevity. We're part of that silver tsunami, they call it, that the next 25, 35, 40 years, our life expectancy is way beyond that of our parents,
right,
and nearly double our grandparents or great-grandparents.
Yes.
And so let's do everything we can to maybe, be there and be that person who's just healthy. We will be talking about things like dementia, and, I don't want to be afraid of that if it happens. And I don't want to be a burden to my kids either.
No, I agree.
Where they're like, oh, God, you got to go take care of Dad. And
who's got to take care of Dad this week?
He's talking about the swim meet, It's like, no, Dad.
Am I up next?
When's my race? So, I mean, but are there things that you can be doing with your diet and your exercise?
Without question.
That stiff arm dementia and stiff arm things like that, to where you just enjoy.
Yeah.
And so, 65 is maybe the new 45, which 45 is the new 25. And
totally agree, man.
So that's where we are.
I think so. So let's summarize a little bit.
Yeah.
Don't eat a bunch of crap.
Don't eat a bunch of crap.
If you're trying to lose weight, maybe cut back a little bit. I mean, if you can increase your protein, maybe by even one of these drinks, 30 grams a day might really make a difference. Yeah. Put this in and eliminate 1 or 2 things out of the cupboard.
Yeah, you look at a peanut butter sandwich, you're like, well, I'll have 2 pieces of bread and peanut butter and jelly. That's probably 500 calories.
Yeah.
Give or take, however you make it.
Yeah.
But the stuff that goes into that versus what goes into this, if you just swap those out, you're there.
Totally agree.
I mean, it's kind of simple.
And if you check that label, if you are capable of checking the labels, look at that added sugar, look at that total sugar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If you can even read into the ingredients, if it says sugar anywhere in the first few words in those ingredients, man, it may not be the best choice. Those are pretty simple things to do.
Natural flavoring, when they say, natural flavoring, you don't know what that is.
Yeah, no doubt.
But, it's like 100 to 200 calories a day. And if you want to, again, it's all about longevity and enjoying. It's not sacrifice and killing yourself. It's just,
you don't want it to be miserable.
Enjoy.
Right.
And not be that guy. Like, I went to breakfast with a buddy a couple of weeks ago, and I said, how you doing? How you been? Well, I got this hip. Let me tell you about the hip problem I got. 20 minutes later, I was just, poke my eyes out with a fork, just like, really? Okay.
You don't want to be that, do you?
Don't be that.
I don't want to be that either.
Let's not be that. Anyway.
I want to be as joyful as possible in this last chapter of life, whatever it is.
It's a great way to put it. It's a great way to put it.
It's always a pleasure, man. I love the stories too.
They're fun.
And I'm having this vision of you when you are old and feeble and demented. Am I up next?
Next. Where's Cal Bance?
Cal, am I? That is so funny, man.
It's good stuff. Anyway, have a good week, everybody. We're going to be talking about hearts in a week.
In 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
2 weeks. We got a really interesting show about AFib, something that I think is really common.
Way more common than I think.
And not talked about very much. It's kind of something that's always been kept a little bit.
Like, you're dying.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. A lot of people live with AFib and have it and don't realize it, or realize it and don't do anything about it. And so we're going to have a guy on that's going to help us kind of demystify it and kind of correlate it all back to nutrition and diet and life.
He's a believer. He's a true believer like us, man. He's doing it.
He's a Hase&Fletch disciple.
He is. Yeah. I'm sure if he isn't, he will be.
He will be.
Always good to see you, man.
Yeah, you too, Fletch.
Have a good weekend.
All right, we'll see you.
Thanks, everybody.